A few months ago, I saw a new video in my subscriber feed. It was from one of my favorite YouTubers, no less, Mandalore Gaming. The video was a review of one of my favorite games ever, Overlord II. I watched the video and strange things started to happen. I didn't remember the levels. I didn't remember the enemies. Even the Overlord looked different. Then it hit me. You bastard! You did the wrong one! In Overlord 2, you play as the titular Overlord. You start in childhood outside of Nordberg, getting bullied by the local kids and ostracized by the town itself. With the help of these weird goblin-looking things, as well as a girl for whom stranger danger is more of a suggestion than a rule, you bully them back and destroy the town. But surprise, the Roman Empire shows up. They hate magic, and guess who happens to be magical? That's right, these hooded dudes want you. They don't look very nice. After an action-packed escape, you make it to the Netherworld. From here, you get to plan your revenge on the world for that one time you were bullied as a child. On a visual level, for a game that came out 10 years ago, Overlord 2 holds up pretty well. The particle effects sure don't hurt. The characters benefit from a nearly ageless quality stemming from their cartoony style. I say nearly because the faces can be a bit, mouthy.
Out your place in the glorious Empire, soldier! That was an order!
The pre-rendered cutscenes look and move great, but all the in-engine ones feel a bit off. Just see for yourself.
Time to crush the Empire! Time to bring back the black! Loose the minions of war! Because evil always finds a way.
I got a permit from the Empire to hunt on these lands. This is my Yeti. I saw it first. Get lost!
It's like they needed a bit more work so the timing of the cuts could be made right. Something they did get right is the soundtrack. The game features a pretty great one. Just have a listen. Minus the music, the soundscape can be split into two parts. The environment, which includes the enemies, and your minions. Let's start with the environment. The game has four main environments: Frigid Nordberg, the fantastical sanctuaries, Tropical Everlight, and the Roman Empire. Roman is in the style as Roman, not that the Empire is actually the Roman Empire, although it may as well be. On their own, each area's soundscape isn't anything special. That's where the minions come in. Minions make all sorts of noises when they do just about anything. Having a mob of noisemakers following you around sounds like it would get very annoying very quickly, but that never happened. This is because each type of minion makes its own sounds. As the game progresses, you unlock these new minions who join the soundscape. Since I already started on the minions, let's move on to gameplay. Overlord 2 is basically evil Pikmin. You have a mob of minions. They follow you around and do what you tell them to. All you have to do is watch. I think management calls this delegating. Sending minions out to destroy stuff is a ton of fun. The game knows this, and the levels are full of destructibles that drop loot. There are four types of minion, each with a different role. The first are the browns. They tank and dish out damage. Next are the reds, who throw fireballs at the enemy from a distance and set them on fire for damage over time. The greens are pretty weak unless they get behind enemies, in which case they jump on their backs where they become immune to damage and deal a ton of damage. So they're assassins. Last are the blues, who die if you look at them funny. On the upside, they can raise other minions from the dead. The browns, reds, and greens can each ride mounts which make them more mobile and a bit more powerful. Most minions also feature useful utility powers, like the reds who put out fires and the blues who can swim. The Overlord himself starts as only an alright fighter. If you invest in weapons and armor, you can become quite a beast. I recommend the Apocalypse for your weapon. Its name is 100% correct. The Overlord can also use magical powers to damage enemies and buff minions. I never use them. The controls for magic are obnoxious, and I never found myself needing it anyway. The reason I never needed magic is because I explored a lot. As you explore, you'll find health, mana, and minion command totems, as well as other goodies. If you collect enough items, you can overwhelm the enemy with health and numbers. I will say that the game definitely makes you work for your totems, especially when the minions get stuck hauling them around. Most of your time in this game will be spent either solving puzzles or fighting. There's also that one kick-ass section with the boat, but I'll let you experience that for yourself. The puzzles start as variations of finding a wheel and having your minions turn it. As the game goes on, the puzzles will get rather creative, especially the ones where you have to become a minion. Combat tends to boil down to a slug-a-thon with a catch, as in you nearly always fight the enemy from the front, but every area where there is a fight features an environmental trick to give you an advantage. It's usually a bit of high ground for your reds to shoot from, or a small crevice for your greens to fit through. While quite simple, combat is varied enough to stay fun. The same goes for the enemies. You of course got your big guys who run into walls and mobile solo fighters, but a unique enemy type are the formations. Empire troops can stand shoulder to shoulder to merge their health bars, and get a hefty bonus on top of it. There's one easy way to weaken them: kill their commander. Time between missions is spent in the Netherworld. Here you can upgrade your minions, gear, magic, and listen to various bits of dialogue. Most of the dialogue is well written too. I'd recommend you come back to the Netherworld often so you can witness some of the shenanigans. Don't forget to explore the place. There are goodies scattered all over. The only downside is that there are loading screens to get to various important sections like the armory, but that's to be expected in a game from 2009. So, this is one of those games with a good boy, bad boy meter, except instead of good versus bad, it's two flavors of evil. The first flavor is domination, where you enslave everyone. The other is destruction, where you kill them instead. Which way you end up on the meter lets you customize your magic in different ways. Domination magic focuses on buffing your minions. Destruction magic helps you kill enemies yourself. To help go up the meters, you can dominate or destroy towns. To dominate, you just enslave everyone. To destroy, well... This is the part where we talk about the story, and that means spoilers. If you want to skip them, go here. This game has quite a few characters in it. The most important ones are Emperor Solarius, Marius, Florian Greenheart, and the Mysterious Lady. Solarius leads the Empire, with Marius as his advisor. Florian is one of the lieutenants working for the magical people.
They're not people, they're hippies!
And the Mysterious Lady is, well, mysterious. I'll open with the biggest endgame revelation because it's central to the story, that Solarius, the main antagonist, and Florian are the same person. That's actually a pretty cool twist, but the reason given is a bit odd. Florian monologues to you that he started the whole big bad empire thing as revenge against the other magical creatures for bullying him. He says elves are supposed to be magical, but for some reason he isn't, leading to the bullying. This is strange for two reasons. First, because the game never shows the elves themselves using magic, only that they protect magic. Second, and even weirder, is that he says he got bullied for it. But Faye, the leader of the elves, said he was her lieutenant. That sounds like the opposite of bullying to me. Hell, when the Overlord got bullied, he was left out in the freezing cold. People threw stuff at him. At least he has a reason to be angry. I would just like to say real quick that's cool that the main antagonist and the Overlord both have the same motivations. Anyway, Florian reveals that the Empire's anti-magic rules are actually a cover to collect as much magic as possible, so Florian, under his fake identity as Solarius, can become magical by jumping into a pot of the stuff, and Marius is helping him because he thinks he'll get rewarded for it. When Marius first appeared, it seems like he'd be a more interesting character, especially with the whole family thing going on with Boreas, something that the game doesn't expand on, and I won't either. But nope, Marius is just a lackey. This brings us to the Mysterious Lady. She introduces herself to you a little after you take over Nordberg. She tells you that pillaging and looting is bad for your emotional health, and that you should stop. Jeez, you're not my mom! Throughout the game, you'll find the Mysterious Lady having arrived in places before you, and whenever she does, things tend to go your way. This means she's helping you, which is a bit of a 180, but whatever. At the end of the game, a little before Florian, still Solarius at this point, jumps into the pot, the Mysterious Lady appears and reveals a few things. First, that she's married to Marius. That means literally nothing to anyone and we can ignore it. Next, that she is your mother. Oh. Whoops. And last, that she wants you to take things over because the world needs balance between good and evil. And with the theoretically good Florian going crazy, evil has to jump in to balance things out. Who put her in charge of good and evil? Well, apparently the Sentinels did. Who are the Sentinels? They're these dudes, from the beginning. When Florian jumps into the magic pot, he becomes a monster. Naturally, this makes him the final boss. As you fight, the Mysterious Lady appears again, this time with the Sentinels, and reiterates that you have to kill Florian, now a monster, to maintain balance between good and evil. What's that? Who are these dudes behind me? Stop asking questions, go kill the boss. You kill the big bad, get the domination, destruction, or mixed ending, and the credits roll. So, what was going on? Here's what I pieced together. The Sentinel dudes are part of a conspiracy to maintain balance between good and evil in the world. When the previous Overlord took over, a good force was needed to fix things. Luckily, the old Overlord's dominion collapsed during a generic fantasy apocalypse. The Empire, led by the theoretically good magic dude Florian, and with the backing of the Sentinels, filled in the power vacuum. After ruling for a while, he became evil, and you, the new Overlord, have to step in to fix things. Your mother, being part of the Sentinels organization, still thinking that the Empire is good, comes to you to say that you should stop being evil. Then, off-screen, she decides that that's dumb and starts helping you overthrow the Empire instead. By the way, the only thing indicating that the Sentinels agree with the mysterious lady is that they appear with her at the very end. Before, she's never with them, so maybe she's not working for them? But she wears their clothes and hovers just like they do. Whatever, I don't know. That whole last paragraph I had to piece together out of basically the clothes of the Sentinels and the mysterious lady, and what little information the main story gave you. I wouldn't call this a fan theory either. I really think this is what the developers were trying to get across, but the game couldn't fully do justice to. I really had to piece all this together. Why did I tell you all this? Well, aside from discussing the story for its own sake, it also illustrates an issue that pervades this whole game. It feels like a lot more is supposed to be going on than the game manages to feature. That's not the same thing as being open to interpretation. I'll give some examples. Expanding on what I said earlier, I'll bet anything that the writers of this game intended for the Sentinels to get a lot more screen time, perhaps even their own level. Maybe you'll hear bits and pieces about their job and their history, maybe even the mysterious lady would be there. That way everything would be properly foreshadowed. Well, that definitely got cut. Also, the mistresses got criminally little screen time. Each one seems to have more going on than you can actually see in-game. Kelda, the girl who helps you at the very start, mentions being a slave before you rescued her. Freeing a childhood friend from slavery is a great motivator for the mission, but you only find this out after you rescue her. Well, you do see her with a slave collar here, and Boreas at one point calls her a slave, but both of those happen after you've already taken over the town and are about to free her anyway. Why not show this before you do the mission? Again, I bet it was planned and got cut. Juno also seems to have a bit more going on. She sort of plays as a dumb beauty, but whenever she actually has to do something, she's competent and witty. It would have been fun to have more of both characters on screen, especially since they have, character.
I'm going to really miss seeing the games.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure there'll be plenty of haughty, smug harpies there to make up for your absence.
The last mistress, who I won't spoil, doesn't need any more screen time. Her only merit is existing. The same lack of screen time also affects most of the villains. Both Boreas and the Governess of Everlight get way too little screen time before you fight them. The only villain with enough screen time, Marius, is the most boring. I will say that if the problem with your story is that there isn't enough of it, then it's not a bad problem to have. But in spite of all of that, the story's still pretty good. I wouldn't read it in a book, but as far as video games go, it gets the job done. And now I want to talk about why I love this game. On top of it just being a fun game with a good story, Overlord is just full to the brim with little details I can't get enough of. As you collect health, mana, and minion totems, you can actually see them stacked in various places around the netherworld. If you order your minions to stop hauling something, some will drop it on their toes and play a little animation before returning to you. On top of adding just a bit more character, it also staggers the minions returning to you, helping them feel more like a horde of smelly goblins rather than drones. If you attack your mistresses, they'll actually slap you back. The last of the little things I want to mention is that you can resurrect minions lost in battle by going to Minion Mortis, who's actually a really old blue minion. It's all these little things that make me adore this game. By the way, this is also one of those games where women sleep with you if you spend a bunch of money on them. You also get to choose who Best Girl is in the form of Head Mistress. So, who is Best Girl? Giblet is Best Girl.
Giblet will be pleased.
Overall, I give this game 99 enslaved villagers out of 100. Why 99? Because I can't find the last one. So yeah, if you shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon. And that's what Overlord II is. The moon. That doesn't make any sense. Oh well, by popular demand, Stellaris is up next. See ya then.